All right, let's browse the Twitter, see if there's any. Gene, I need this deck list. Gene, deck list, please. Deck list, please. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video. And I got another Dealer's Choice donation deck list for you, and I found something spicy. Last March of the Ents is basically super show and tell from hell. Now, it does cost 8 mana rather than 3, so it better be good. First of all, it's uncounterable. Second of all, you also get to draw cards equal to the greatest toughness among creatures you control, and then put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So, tonight, we are going to be making dinosaurs. And I know the Lost Caverns of Ixalan aren't out yet, so this deck might even get better once that releases, but here's the game plan. Our deck is going to play a very large number of uncounterable threats, and the goal is to make it through the early game using things like Artifact Mana and Urza Saga. And then in the late game, we just get to ignore Force of Will, Daze, Logic Knot, whatever counterspells your opponent has at their disposal. And not only that, we want to win right now when we throw down our 8 mana Ent show and tell. Enter Regisaur Alpha, which is going to go and give all of our dinosaurs haste. So we might have a dinosaur, cast the Ent spell, draw 6 cards, wrap, I don't know, another 3 dinosaurs into play, and then destroy our opponents in a single combat. And it won't matter if the early game was slow if the end game is that strong. Or at least, that's what we're hoping for. Will we just die in the early game? That might happen a few times. Now, today's video is sponsored by both Moxfield.com and Cool Stuff Inc. Remember, if you need paper magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So here's the full deck list in all of its glory. You see kind of the Ancient Tomb and City of Traders shell that you should be used to in Legacy, alongside green cards this time, which is much less common. And in the early game, we're going to take some of the pieces out of the book of the One Ring combo decks, with Manifold Key untapping Grim Monolith to make a large amount of colorless mana. And then later on, we will need 2 green mana to do one of our big broken things. Now, some downsides to me when I look at this deck list. Number 1, Regisaur Alpha is pretty far below Perv in terms of legacy power level, but it is sort of a combo enabler with last March of the Ents, so we're going to give that one a pass. But this, and Galta and Mavrin, it's going to be a little hard to cast them, given that our mana base is primarily mono green. It is possible to do so off Mox Opal, but not necessarily the most likely thing in the world. Similarly, it might be a little tough getting 3 green pips to actually cast this spell. But again, this is the end game. We're hoping to do colorless stuff with either Urza Saga or the One Ring for about the first 4 turns of the game instead. So hopefully it ends up being okay. This is either going to be the most amazing video in the world or an absolute disaster, and we're going to get bodied, but hopefully it's fun for you all either way. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the University of Maryland Gaming Club real quick. So back when I was in grad school there, we had a weekly gaming club, and we would hang out, we would cube, play a lot of Legacy, play a format called Stack. And one of the people who was at undergrad while I was in grad school donated to make this video, as well as one other possible. So for everyone who was a part of that club and a part of that portion of my life, like, cheers, I hope things are going well for you. All right, let's dinosaur. All right, so just so we can see what this is going to look like, I've set up a scenario. It's turn 4, I've drawn a bunch of cards with the One Ring, and we're going to go ahead and make a bunch of mana here. We'll untap a Grim Monolith, tap this, so that's 6, 7, 8. We have 10 mana total. We have a reasonable sized Urza Saga construct token. So we would have drawn these two off of it, and let's just say that we had one other random one of these in hand. So let's just say it was just something that good. So this would be 7, 10, 18, 22, 28 power swinging in on turn 4. So this is what this deck is capable of doing, but it's going to be a little clunky in order to make this happen. Let me tell you, I had to goldfish a couple of different games to get to something that did this quickly. So let's go ahead and jump into the rounds now. So I'm a mana short of getting started here. I can go land, Mox Opal. I can't get to Grim Monolith. With one more mana, this hand is pretty strong, but I think I just pitch this. Well, this is a keep. I think I get rid of the Regisaur Alpha. This is just, in theory, hard castable, whereas Regisaur Alpha is much harder to hard cast. But yeah, if that didn't have red pips in it, we would be real excited about that with this hand. We are going to be very close to just hard casting this very quickly, right? They just play Grim Monolith on turn 1 and untap it. And I have, what, 5, 6... Yeah, we're basically just going to need the third land drop, and we're good to go. And how sick would Mox Opal be? Alright, my opponent leads on Misty and Mishra's Bauble. And passes the turn. We're probably looking at a Delver deck here. That's my second green mana. Do I want to take a turn off to play around Daze? Kind of. I kind of do. I think I'm going to play a Forest and play a Dazeable Manifold Key. I don't think that's something that would get countered. Steam Vents. Is this a Grixis Death Shadow deck, or is that just the 5th Volk? It's probably the 5th Volk. What are you doing over there? Oh. Sure. They've gotten rid of my Karn. That's fair. You draw your card. Well, let's do this thing. I really need this card. Otherwise, my game plan's very slow here. I have a 7 and 8 drop in hand. Okay. So I don't have the green mana required to go big this turn, but I can go big next turn. Okay, Wasteland's a little rough, but I don't think a long-term problem. That's annoying. Not the end of the world. I probably have to play it out this turn, which puts it in range of Daze, which is annoying. It's maybe important enough to play that around Daze that I wait a turn. I think it is. Let's be cool. Maybe I'm making a mistake in not just like jamming this down my opponent's throat here, but there's not a clock in play yet. And playing around Daze feels like it matters so much. It's like these aren't Dazeable. Like those are just uncounterable. There's the counter argument though that like this gives my opponent more time to find a Force of Will. Like, do you even Force of Will the Grim Monolith? Like, it's going to be my turn 5? Don't even know that you do. Well, that is a cool thing to do. Alright, it's at least worth looking at the top couple cards, because that sets up the Delver anyway. Alright, it eats the Force of Will, which is reasonable. I've got the One Ring as backup still, and if I find a new Grim Monolith, I get to go ham. Delver flips to Bolt. I don't super care about Bolt right now. Although, like, that could change quickly if something like a Murktide Regent gets in play. I'm at 15, which is effectively 12. Alright, opponent is chilling. So we go Urza Saga. This is a Dazeable, the One Ring, but that's fine. Force of Will, pitching Murktide Regent. My opponent probably doesn't have another blue card in hand, because Murktide Regent is a very valuable card. Sure. We're on a 2-turn clock, because my opponent's last card is that Lightning Bolt. Sure. Finding a Brainstorm. I guess I'm going to be just short of closing this one out with Shadow Spear too, right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't do anything cute with Manifold Key here. I'm dead to Lightning Bolt plus attack. Is the Lightning Bolt still there? Actually, I guess I'll make them cast it. They did Brainstorm. I forget when exactly that was. Sure. We're eating 6 in combat, going to 3. I'm dead if my opponent has the Lightning Bolt. Let's see. Do the Urza Saga thing. This is a 5/5 as of right now. It is large. Oh. We will play as if Lightning Bolt is not a thing. Pick up Shadow Spear. Equip Shadow Spear. Go to combat. They brainstormed away Lightning Bolt. Oh. Cool. I thought with the way that math worked out that that was going to be a keeper. I guess not. Well, was not expecting to take that game after a Grim Monolith got countered. But here we are. So I don't have Ensnaring Bridge in this sideboard, which I guess makes sense now that I've thought about it for half a second. Dismember's not bad for taking out opposing creatures. I might not board in removal for the game that I'm on the play. The game that I'm on the play might be just like try to do the thing. In the game where I'm on the draw, I respect the creatures more. I'm gonna think about it for a second. Like when I'm on the draw, Karn is pretty rough. I mean, Karn's not great anyway. All right, maybe I've talked myself out of this. Like I do this for this and the 3 dismembers. I lose a little bit of utility. I actually think that's fine. So this hand has mana. A little rough if I get wastelanded. But if I don't get wastelanded, I make a lot of artifacts, and I'm 1 green source away from doing this, and this land gets wastelanded rather than a green one. This is essentially a solid but not overwhelming 6-card hand. I think I keep it. Let's see what my opponent's up to. Alright, it is a turn 1 Delver, which I don't really want to see. Alright, there's a big payoff spell. I am going to play this Dazably. Nice. Haze off. I guess I actually want to cast Shadow Spear before untapping this, oddly. Although I think I've sussed out that my opponent does not have Daze. We'll untap the old Grim Monolith. Call it a turn. We'll need 1 more green mana to do the thing. And the thing looks pretty scary right now. Wasteland is great for my opponent. Although, honestly, the Wasteland is not necessarily going to stop me from doing the thing. Like, my limiting factor is green mana. Mox Opal would be just a disgusting draw, for example. Alright, the Delver swings in for a mighty 1 point of damage. A new Ancient Tomb. I just play a green source here. And pass. Delver presumably flips now. No. Second Wasteland is rough. I am not prepared for that. I'm at 16. Effectively a little less than that because I've got an Ancient Tomb here. Yeah, but too many green pips over here. Double Wasteland is brutal. Petty Theft on Grim Monolith, sure. I'm unsure how strong of a play that is. Like, it's worth 2 life. And I think it's pretty clear that I don't. So, in some pinch situations, I can use Manifold Key to untap Mox Opal to get my 2nd green. That is a force of will. Sure. So we'll see if Delver flips this time. It flips to predict. And my opponent will predict themselves. Combo with Dragon Rage Channeler here. I don't really know that predict is currently good in Legacy. Like, it's both slow and not Dragon Rage Channeler and Orcish Bowmasters exists. I don't know that that's where I would want to be. I think I would like to be on Team Beans as far as supplemental card draw is involved. I am a little short on mana of doing something gross this turn. I will concede. This hand didn't quite go anywhere. Without double Wasteland, we would have gone somewhere. That's okay. We're on the play. So, turn 1 tree, Mox Opal. I'm 1 artifact short of just playing the 1 ring on turn 2. I have double Dismember, which is like kind of cool, but I think I'm just going to mulligan this one. Yeah, this is great. We'll keep this pitching 1 Mox Opal And the hope here is that Wasteland is not in my opponent's opening 7. But I think for tempo reasons, I have to lead on Urza Saga because I don't want my opponent to be able to ponder into Wasteland and deny me constructs that way. Alright, sure. Alright, Urza Saga starts ticking up. Let's throw out an artifact. Pass the turn. We have Shadow Spear coming. The first constructs will be lightning boltable temporarily. Which is not the best for me. Alright. So that means my opponent probably does not have Lightning Bolt, which is great. Now, they could always have something like Meltdown that could do gross things to me in a minute, so let's not get too attached here. So this will be Shadow Spear. And I am going to go for broke and attempt to gain some life this turn. Do have to keep in mind that Meltdown could ruin my day, and a Brazen Borrower is pretty rough. Alright, they're at 14. It really feels like I'm about to eat a Meltdown. Yeah, like this turn being used to predict rather than interact with my board is rough. Sure. Now, if they had Meltdown in their opening 7, like, so be it. Yeah, that's similar. That clears both construct tokens. More importantly, it clears the Mox Opal. I'm kind of hoping that my opponent greeds it and lets me untap, and then I accidentally Carnage Tyrant them because I draw a green source. Alright, there's the fetch. Unfortunately, I think they crack now because it turns Dragon Rage Channeler into a 3/3. Alright, so now we want to draw a copy of the One Ring, or we want to draw green mana. Either one of those things is insane. Instead, we spiked another colorless land, and I am suffering. It kind of feels like I win this match if I just have, like, 6 mana 2/2s in hand. Is this any spell? It's non-creature spell specifically. Sure. That's fine. I probably don't even cast that right now. I don't think that's worth damage. Because colorless mana is not currently a limiting factor. Definitely a little frustrating, though. Sure. Alright, I'll go to 10. My deck has just fully bottomed out. I go to 7. Alright, deck. At this point, I don't really think I can win. The Ancient Tomb damage is now too relevant. Sure. Alright, that's another land drop from my opponent. Hardcast Force of Will is on. My opponent's got 7 cards in hand. I expect that I am on 0 outs. Yeah, especially after that. Alright, my deck just kind of crapped itself.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to host your online deck lists, and I don't think it's close. I think it's wonderfully organized, and you can have a great system of folders so that you can go through, separate your decks by whatever you want. I separate mine by format. I have just a few legacy decks, and Moxfield is able to keep track of all the decks that even someone like me makes. So please consider checking them out.
Alright, we're probably 1 artifact away from this hand being playable. There's a lot of draws that improve this one. Like, any land in this hand is playable. Any artifact in this hand is playable. But I think I'm just gonna ship it. Oh, that is no good. So this is fine. I get to keep 5 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's a legendary land? That's awkward. Okay. Not better than Forest. I'm really far away from this. I think I'm just going to throw this back and assume that I need to cast a second copy of the One Ring in the short term. We're getting Thoughtseized. We're getting Duressed, which means combo. I lose my Grim Monolith, and I have no real Game 1 plan versus combo. I actually don't really know that I have a plan versus combo, right? I'm not a Chalice deck. We are planning on beating fair blue decks. What does the sideboard look like? Okay, I guess I can draw a Karn and spike a game here. But losing the mana was rough on a Mold to 5. We're presumably playing against a Storm deck. Gotten a little harder to get a read on what type of... Well, maybe that looks like Doomsday. It is Doomsday. Finishing the thought, though, it's gotten a little harder to get a read on what exactly the opposing Storm deck is going to look like in the post-Beseech the Mirror world. Alright, my opponent goes to 9 off their Doomsday. Personal tutor build, not particularly anything super interesting in the flex slots. I imagine that I'm just dead here. My opponent taking the Grim Monolith after I mulled to 5 won them the game. Yep, that's fine. They might play a little patiently and like play around something like Endurance, but I think they've just got the win this turn. Sure. Alright, there's the Thassa's Oracle. We are dead. So the bad news here is that I don't really get better versus this deck. Like, I think we're just dead this match. Like, Dismember stopping a Thassa's Oracle kill doesn't usually happen. Mindbreak Trap doesn't usually beat Doomsday because they don't cast 3 spells in a turn. It's usually Dark Ritual, Doomsday, pass, then cycle a couple of cards, Thassa's Oracle. Maybe there's one spell before that, but Mindbreak Trap just doesn't like do what you want it to do. So yeah, we're gonna try to race, and it's not gonna work, and that's okay. Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith, Mox Opal. I'm not getting to green for this as of right now. Let's ship this. An honest Urza Saga hand is probably about the best that I can hope for. This is fine. We are just gonna make some Urza Saga construct tokens and hope that our opponent dies somehow. They will half their life total for us, which is cool. And we don't really care if they duress us or whatever, but like at the same time, am I actually going to race them? I don't have a bunch of 0-cost artifacts growing these Urza Saga tokens. So that's not the best for me. Like, I think my opponent just like Dark Rituals Doomsdays this turn, and then like I'm dead the following turn. Alright, my opponent goes to 9. Street Wraith? Street Wraith? Oh, okay, they're going for it this turn. One of the rare times where a Mindbreak Trap actually would have done something. Sure. That'll do. I will concede, and we'll move on to the next one. So this hand can play a turn 1 Karn. Just City, Grim Monolith, 3 mana, key, 2 mana, activate key, 1 mana, back up to 4 mana, and just play Karn on turn 1. And attempt to just Liquid Metal coating my opponent out of the game. It is a gamble. It's a little rough against Daze. Wasteland is scary. But I am okay with the gamble here. My opponent is a hater. My Grim Monolith's gone. My deck sucks. Oh wow, my opponent took the Karn instead. So, I now don't need to lead on City of Traders this turn. Let's just get the Manifold Key out there. This gives me a chance to draw another green source naturally on turn 2. It also does give my opponent another chance to, like, Thoughtseize the Grim Monolith out of my hand, but I think that's fine. Alright, fair or unfair? Unfair. Alright, well, we saw how this fucking went last time. The cruel joke universe. Alright, my opponent's at 9 and has presumably won the game. Uro, Veil of Summer, Personal Tutor, Deep Analysis baselines, got it. So I'm a green mana short of doing broken stuff on my end, which is unfortunate. Because I presume my opponent will win the game on their turn. We'll see. You know, there's different ways to build piles to play around different things. But it should be pretty darn easy to win this turn. Alright, there's a Street Wraith. There's now 2 cards. My opponent can play Thassa's Oracle this turn and end me. Alright, Edge of Autumn. And we die. Alright. So again, my cards aren't good here. We're whack and submit and probably hoping for turn 1 Urza Saga. Alright, this is a turn 1 Urza Saga hand. That's about as aggressive as I can be. Alternatively, it can be a play the 1 ring on turn 2. But I think I am just raw racing my opponent here. and generating the construct on turn 2 and turn 3, following it up with Tree and Manifold Key, is a decent amount of power. Alright, Saga and Key. Alright, looks like my opponent is just passing the turn, which I'll take. Play Ancient Tomb and pass. I assume we're going to see an end of turn Brainstorm. I might aggro my opponent out if they don't cast their Doomsday this turn. Artifact land helps a lot. Now, at the same time, my opponent could have, you know, a sideboard dress down or something like that that strips both tokens and would be rough. Alright, cool. Make a token. A new Urza Saga is interesting. Let's see. I am thinking about whether or not I want to Mox Opal for colored mana. I think I do. I also think I'm going to attack before playing the land, in case my opponent has some sort of like Echoing Truth type card that bounces both of these artifacts. I'll want to play Urza Saga instead. Yeah, there we go. Sure. Then I will just drop a new Urza Saga. Call it a turn. My opponent's Doomsday now races my Urza Saga tokens if they do it this turn, which seems likely. That is the Doomsday. Alright, my opponent has gone to 9. Oh, are you going now? Okay. They can potentially go now by cracking this, and then doing a Cycler in response to get the blue, blue, blue. Then they just cycle one more card and play Oracle. Okay, they can cycle 2 more cards and play Oracle. That'll do. We can never beat Doomsday. Well, this is a really good Urza Saga hand, but at some point I would like to fucking cast some dinosaurs. There's no way I throw this one back realistically. But I'm just like fully soft to a Wasteland on this Urza Saga. Alright, here we go. I think I'm going to play out the Manifold Key this turn to kind of try to live the dream of spiking a Monolith and getting to do something wild next turn. I'm going to play this out. Not on for Metalcraft purposes yet, but will be next turn. Like I can make a token and then play out the Shadow Spear. Once upon a time. Alright, seems like we are going to get some turns of magic this time around. Which is great. Cool. So let's sorcery speed, make my token, and then drop a Shadow Spear into play. I'm going to be attacking for a lot as of next turn, and I will have the One Ring in the not too distant future after that. About the only question is whether or not I make the second Urza Saga token. I think I do. Fiend Artisan just is annoying and can get big relatively quickly. Sure, that's fine. That's scary. Alright. Fuck me, come on. That is a cruel joke. Alright. We'll take another key. And the Urza Saga's awkward here with the city that's already in play. I think I don't play it. It means I'm attacking for 1 less this turn. Yeah. Alright, opponent is doing some cantripping. Man, we're like so good if my opponent has to take a turn off to play the Fiend Artisan. Alright. I'm just dead. It takes a while, but I lose to this. I'm naturally drawing the Grist too. Ugh. Actually, neither one of these creatures is connecting, right? Realistically speaking. Or no, it doesn't. I can't fucking use it to untap. Ugh. Is it just going to be Bowmaster's block, Insect token block? Or not. Sure. Can't use this. Call it a turn there. Does my opponent have a second Grist? Or am I just dead to some sort of Crater Hoof nonsense deterministically already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 7, 8. Tap the Dryad Arbor or the Ignoble Hierarch as well to hoof. Sure. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say here. So, dismembers are fine. My Karns are very slow. I'm probably going to board those out. I'll board in this one ring. Pithing Needle's pretty solid. I probably go down one dinosaur, so I can put that on either Fiend Artisan or Grist as the situation demands. Well, I'm gonna keep this. It is another great Urza Saga hand. And we see if this ends up being good enough. Alright, Saga pass. Alright, there's a Dryad Arbor. Okay. So I need to play out a second artifact so that my Urza Saga tokens don't just die to a Bowmaster. Alright, so let's see what my opponent has. That's just Collector Roof. Which is rough because I have multiple copies of the One Ring as my next plays. This is like kind of infuriating. Sure. We'll make another construct. Guess I can still grab this. Put it on Fiend Artisan. I can cast the One Ring next turn off this land. So I think I'm okay playing a land that doesn't work this turn to just deal some more points of damage. Alright, opponent's at 14. Sure. Gonna have the Green Sun for Grist after I played around Fiend Artisan instead. Oh, it's just natural order. Sure. Great. I'm basically just dead to that. Cradle, Bowmasters, Green Sun. Boseiju, not doing a lot here. There's also just 7 life in addition to all of the other problems. Ugh. So, like, I can essentially gain 7 life by playing this, although it's realistically 5 because it cost me 2 off the Ancient Tomb. And then I get to wait a turn to see if I draw something else. But, like, the Green Sun now just represents Grist, which removes one of these 2 tokens, and then I think I'm out of the game. This is realistically probably just the point where I concede, but I guess I have lost Marsh of the Ents to draw towards, but, like, this land disappears, so... And 2 of my other mana sources are off, so I don't know that I'm realistically going towards that. But we can pretend. Alright. Bowmasters is fine. It doesn't really do a ton here. The biggest thing that it does is just turn Gaia's Cradle into more mana. Sure. So Cradle will just kill me the next turn that I allow my opponent to meaningfully attack. Green Sun for Hoof is just online. I guess I could Green Sun for a Questing Beast if they have it. Sure. Okay, they're just gonna go that route. Yeah, whatever. Everything beats me here. Yeah, I can't realistically get to 8 mana. I can fog another turn. My opponent can just start obliterating my constructs, and then I have nothing. Ain't looking good for this deck, folks. All right, final round. Hand doesn't do anything. We mulligan. Second hand doesn't do anything. We mulligan. Third hand doesn't do anything either. Honestly. I think I need to mulligan again. Like on 5, I'd be keeping something that looks like this, and this doesn't have any real prospects. I'd rather go to 4 and try to find something that vomits the One Ring into play. Are we at keep and have an 8 in 53 chance at ripping a soul land off the top? I think that's better than going to 3. But this has been just an unmitigated dumpster fire. Basic Plains gives me hope. 60 card Death and Taxes. We have a lot of time. I'm going to pass the turn, hope they don't have Thalia. Not going to play out the Mox Opal yet, because there's a decent chance that I concede this game without playing any spells, and then my opponent doesn't have a chance to sideboard in any artifact hate that they have. Casting Mom? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Second Mom. Sure. File ticks up. Sure. That's fine. My opponent doesn't do anything else in this turn cycle. They maybe should have just mulliganed their hand. Am I playing Urza Saga? Sure. And dump a couple artifacts into play. And then I've got more outs towards Metalcraft and stuff. There's like an end of turn Stoneforge or something. Their hand is perfectly reasonable. Yeah, that's fine. That beats me a lot of the time. Alright. Files are up. Flicker Wisps can do bad things to me. Opponent's got a decent clock as well. That's fine. Match 12. Okay. I am at least going to get to attempt to do magic things this game. And it would be cool if we steal this win. So 3. Untap this. Do I care about these Urza Saga tokens? Or do I want untapped monoliths? I guess I don't have to commit until after I draw the card. Alright, get protection from everything. Bam. 3. Let's ignore the existence of the Urza Saga constructs and intend on winning this game the way Karanos intended, with a very large Ent spell that I've forgotten the name of because I haven't cast it yet this league. Alright, Thalia is annoying but late to the party. Alright, take some damage. Oseiju. Let's start drawing cards. Hopefully no Bowmasters. No Bowmasters, but also just absolutely no gas. So let's go 3 mana, untap the One Ring, draw more cards. Okay. We're on the right track. I think I'm just going for more untaps. Ignore the constructs. Manifold Key. Untap the One Ring. Draw some more cards. Alright, Thalia is a problem. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Ish. Let's Voltaic Key. I think we've got to try to untap this and find something cool to do. Yeah, without the Thalia, we just got to win. Now I'm 1 mana short of a new copy of the One Ring to Fog. Can't remove creatures. This isn't an instant. Can't destroy my own One Ring. I'm dead to my own One Ring. Otherwise, I would have been able to do cool stuff. We damn near won a game on 4. So I'll play some Dismembers, I guess. I think I need Karn as additional access to the One Ring. I have Spirit of the Labyrinth to potentially worry about from this deck. But if we are going to do the thing, it is against this deck. City, Grim Monolith, Manifold Key, turn 1 Karn with Liquid Metal Coating to blow up lands. Very vulnerable to Wasteland, but I think I'm keeping this. Alright, my opponent has mulligan to 4. We don't win this one, I'm yeeting this deck into the sun. We have no excuse. Untap. 4 mana. Karn. Karn minus. Liquid Metal Coating. God damn it. That is so frustrating. So I'll minus. And I probably just pick up the One Ring now. And then any land lets us destroy every land my opponent ever plays for the rest of the game. Of course not. Of course not. Sure. Also, Mox Opal does it too. Sure. That's annoying. Any land answers it. Literal any land. That'll do. City. 2 mana. Manifold Key. Untap. 4 mana. Liquid Metal Coating. Tap. Target a land. Blow up a land. Pay 4 life. Dismember a Stoneforge Mystic. Alright. Oh. Cool. My opponent didn't wasteland me. That's very good for me. So let's go 2 mana. Untap this. 3, 4 mana. Play the One Ring. Start drawing cards. Nice. Continue to Liquid Metal Coating the white sources. Then if my opponent wastelands me, I just make a normal land drop. And if they don't, we're also fine with that. Alright, my opponent has conceded. We damn near lost on a DNT mold of 4. I have no idea what my opponent was mulliganing for that aggressively. It's possible for this game that Karn is a little too slow. Possible I want Force of Vigor to hedge against something like Spirit of the Labyrinth. But if I cut too many dinosaurs, then me actually casting this is not going to do the thing that I dream of it doing. I'm going to try to live the dream and leave the dinosaurs in there. This is slow. It has multiple relevant 4-drops. It's not just dead to Wasteland. It's just turn 3 the One Ring and start to draw. Pretty bad versus Thalia. I think I would keep something like this on 6. I'm going to try to fish a little harder. This is worse. By a lot. Go to 5. This is turn 2 Karn and Prey. It's bad. Throw back 2 dinosaurs. But I'm like very bad against Wasteland again. Worth taking 2 to play a Manifold Key? Unsure. I'm going to. But like I'm just going to be too slow for something like a turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. Stony Silence. Well, that's not great. The artifact land is gross. Alright, play Karn. The One Rings are not doing a lot, and Force of Vigors are in the sideboard. I think I'm just minusing for Lattice and hoping for the best. Like, I can just get to 6 mana, and if my opponent doesn't have a creature, I kill them. It's not happy, but it's what I'm doing. Sure. Port's very good. Sure. So now the fact that this is an artifact land just screws me over. Yep. No, we're going to go this entire league without casting a single green card. Okay, sure. Yep. Getting Caldra. I'm dead. Sure. I guess I'm not dead. Infinite Life Dismember. I don't think I can give up a land here. But this is awful. Stony Silence is also not a commonly played sideboard card. So this is just savage. Yep, so they still get to port me. Yep. I'm done, folks. I'm sorry, but I am done. I'm out. Well, I was promised dinosaurs, and that did not happen, and I'm probably as disappointed as you are here. So, generally speaking, problems with this deck list. Number 1, the number of green sources is not high enough. And when some of your green sources get hit by things like Collector Oof that are going to be good against your deck anyway, that is a huge problem. And I don't think this deck can afford 2 copies of Boseiju, because like we had an instance where I drew both of them at the same time, and it was actively bad. So that's problem 1. Problem 2 is that you don't meaningfully interact with combo at all, and you don't race combo. Your deck is not faster than something like Doomsday or Storm, and you have basically no interaction for that. Problem 3, a bunch of these dinosaurs are not really castable with your mana base because you don't have any secondary colors outside of Mox Opal. So while this is something maybe you can revisit once Lost Caverns of Ixalan comes around and gives you more like reasonable to cast dinosaurs, we just never hit any situation where we even got to 4 green in this league, let alone 6 green. And I think that means you just entirely scrap this deck unless something new is printed that powers it up. I think I won a single game in this entire 5-round league, and the game that I won was off of an Urza's Saga, where if my opponent had kept their Lightning Bolt to change their clock by 1 round, I was dead, and then I wouldn't have won a single game at all. That was rough. And this was one of those leagues where I did not have much agency because I had cards trapped in hand that did nothing. So I did not cast any of these 18 cards over the course of this league. And that means anytime I had one of these 18 cards, it was worse than, a 6-mana 2/2. It was just every single one of these was uncastable at all points in this league. Yeah, so excitement is dead. Morale is low. I'll be back tomorrow with hopefully a deck that is more successful. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need cards that aren't these dinosaurs, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. See ya.